Hi, it's Laura at Aquamarine18. Thanks for stopping by my channel today. I am here with what I intend to be one of at least two, if not three, videos that will be coming out on my channel on the reading that I've been doing over the past 2 months almost, since I haven't given a reading update since April 21st. I've been reading a ton, and so I thought that it would make the most sense if I split up the texts that I've been reading into kind of thematic or genre specific videos and titled them, appropriately and clearly, so that if you're interested in some kinds of reading that I've been doing and not others, then you can just watch the one that interests you the most. So I thought that I would start with specifically speculative fiction that is short speculative fiction. So I have recently really gotten interested in the novella as a form. I've been looking quite a bit at the past Hugo Award shortlists for the best novella, and I've been finding some suggestions for reading on there. I really like novellas as a as a length. I think sometimes short stories, you don't get enough characterization. You only have so many pages to work with, but you don't always necessarily want to read something as long as a novel, or maybe you want to try reading a new author for the first time, and a novella is a good length that can be read fairly quickly. So I've been enjoying those. So I wanted to talk about, 8 texts in this video, most of which are novellas, and a few of which are short story based. So almost all of these I've actually read on Kindle, so I don't have that much physically to show you in this video. The one text I do have to show you that I have a physical copy of is the short story collection Escape Routes by Naomi Ishiguro. And this was a book that I read as part of Katie Flowers' Blossom Book Club, which is part of Katie Flowers' Patreon. And this book, like the physical book, is beautiful. I love the yellow inside. And this one is a bit of a standout on this list because, in terms of it being speculative fiction, it is a collection of short stories, not all of which I would necessarily class as speculative. Like some I definitely wouldn't, whereas others in the collection I definitely would. As with any collection like this, I definitely liked some of the stories much, much more than others. They're linked by, I would say, themes of, desire for escape, as the title suggests, feeling cramped. There's a kind of claustrophobia to a lot of the stories, feeling constrained, feeling trapped, feeling stuck, and that manifests in all different kinds of ways. And there were, how many stories? 9 stories in here, and 3 of them are the Rat Catcher 1, 2, and 3, so those 3 go together. I will say, personal preference, that the Rat Catcher were the 3 that I liked the least in the collection, whereas some of the others, like Accelerate, The Flat Roof, Shearing Season, there were several other stories that I really enjoyed in this book. This one would overall be maybe a 3 star, maybe 3.5 for some of those better ones that I liked. But I would definitely, based on this book, read more of Naomi Ishiguro's work, which I had never encountered her work before. I believe, this is her first book. So that's Escape Routes by Naomi Ishiguro. The next I will talk about, I suppose, the other short stories. So, one of my favorite authors of all time, really, fantasy author, is N.K. Jemisin. And I just read a standalone short story by N.K. Jemisin called Emergency Skin. It is, I believe, only available, Emergency Skin, as a Kindle or as a Audible audiobook. And Emergency Skin was really great. I mean, I'm biased. For me, N.K. Jemisin can't write a bad thing. I've really liked everything of N.K. Jemisin. But the plot of this short story, and it's hard to discuss short stories without giving anything away, but the plot of Emergency Skin, and this is not a spoiler because this is like in the description on Amazon, centers around a person who's an explorer who is sent back to a planet that their people abandoned as environmentally devastated generations and generations prior, to kind of research what remains of the planet there. So that was a great short story. I would highly recommend it if you have a Kindle or you like to listen to an Audible. It's a good choice. And if you haven't read N.K. Jemisin before, do check out her work. She has won the Hugo Award for Best Novel 3 times in a row for a trilogy. Her work is incredible. I'll talk about her newest novel in my next video on the novels I've been reading. So that's Emergency Skin by N.K. Jemisin. And then in terms of short stories, another that I read was a very short collection called Report from Planet Midnight by Nalo Hopkinson. And I'd never read Nalo Hopkinson before. I have been recommended Nalo Hopkinson's work previously, so this one has kind of been on my list for a long time. I got this ebook from a sale. I'm not sure if the sale is still on, but PM Press, which is an anarchist publisher, had all of their ebooks on sale. And PM Press ebooks, once you buy them, you just get them in a bunch of different formats like EPUB and Mobi and PDF even, I think. And then you can put them on whatever device you have, like a tablet or Kindle or Kobo or whatever it is that you use. And so Report from Planet Midnight includes 2 short stories by Nalo Hopkinson, 1 interview and 1 speech as well that she had given at an event. So the first sentence, to give you an idea, in the description of the collection on Amazon states, infused with feminist Afro-Caribbean views of the science fiction and fantasy genres, this collection of offbeat and highly original works takes aim at race and racism in literature. And then it gives a little kind of 1-sentence summary that I won't give them all away here about what each of the 4 works is about or what it does. So I really, really enjoyed this. I read this collection quite quickly, like in a couple of sittings. Based on it, I would love to read more of Nalo Hopkinson's work. I know that she has other short fiction as well as novels, and I'm going to be seeking them out. So if you're interested in a speculative fiction author, would like to read one that you haven't read before and you haven't read Nalo Hopkinson, thumbs up from me. It was really excellent for sure. And then on to novellas. A novella that I read recently that I really enjoyed, and I've been really enjoying what I've been reading lately. I feel like in these videos, it's like, oh, and I loved this, and I loved this, and I loved this. I've just been reading a lot of really good fiction lately, which is such a good feeling, right? Gotta love that. So a novella that had been on my list for a long time, and just, for whatever reason, just I never clicked to buy it, but finally I did. And part of that was the book stack of shame, wanting to finish everything else first, that I had already bought, but I finally got around to getting this novella called Sisters of the Vast Black by Lina Rather. And the Sisters of the Vast Black is about a group of nuns on a spaceship, which alone is like enough of a compelling premise to me, that I didn't really need to read much of the rest of the description, honestly. It's like, oh, not like nuns in space. I'm in. I totally want to read that. And this was a really interesting story, and I felt like it went it went on a lot of different themes, right? And the sisters on this ship are, to be going and meeting people from different colonies and bringing, bringing humanitarian support and the message of the church to these different places that they visit. But there's interesting dynamics around kind of they've been in space for a long time, and they're fairly kind of far out there. So the extent of the grip of the kind of central bureaucracy of the church on the ship is an issue of contestation in the story. How much the sisters are, as a crew, are autonomous from the church that they're affiliated with, and how much their order is going to be kind of dictating what they should be doing, because they've got their own ideas of what they want to be doing, of course, and so they are solicited for help and go to answer that call, and the story goes from there. I really enjoyed Sisters of the Vast Black. I've never read anything by Lina Rather before, but again, based on this, I would love to read more. And finally, I'm going to talk about the last 4 in a group because I have been reading the Murderbot series by Martha Wells. And so the Murderbot series has 4 novellas, a couple of short stories, and most recently a novel. And there's another Murderbot novel scheduled to be released in April 2021. So I have just absolutely fallen in love with Murderbot. I am hooked on Murderbot. Since I talked about books last, I have read all 4 Murderbot novellas, which are called All Systems Red, Artificial Condition, Rogue Protocol, and Exit Strategy. In that order are the 4 novellas. And then also the novel, which came out fairly recently, I read as well. And I'll talk about that in the novel video later on. But Murderbot is a cyborg of sorts, made up of a combination of biological and technological components. And Murderbot is the name that it has given itself. It was created to be a security detail for anyone who rented it out. So scientists, explorers, and so on could rent this sec unit or security unit who is highly armed and highly proficient in combat to protect them, and who is programmed to follow their commands and react in certain ways and so on. But Murderbot has kind of hacked themselves and given themselves autonomy and the ability to override commands that they're given. And they call themselves Murderbot in their internal monologue. They call themselves a Murderbot. So the different novellas follow the adventures of this rogue, this rogue character calling itself Murderbot, and navigating kind of having like a semblance of free will for the first time, having the ability to form relationships for the first time, and exploring what that means to it and how it feels and what it wants, like for the first time being able to want things for itself, to think about what it wants its life to be like, and I love stories like this, stories about androids and cyborgs and so on. So this is right up my alley as it is. But Murderbot is just such a good character. It's very funny, and there's elements of it that are heartwarming. As it tries to explore the ways it is and isn't like humans. And in some ways it doesn't really like humans, or doesn't like a lot about humans, and it kind of jokes, that it wants to be left alone to watch television a lot of the time. So Murderbot's a really funny character. So I enjoyed all 4 novellas, and if you're looking for something fun to read this summer, Murderbot, can't go wrong. I love Murderbot. And I wanted to finish with Murderbot, and actually I wanted to make this video today and finish talking about Murderbot, because coming up in a couple of days on next Tuesday, July 21st, there is going to be a Zoom hosted Q&A and discussion with Martha Wells, who wrote the Murderbot series, and just discussion about Murderbot. And anybody who signs up for it, and I'm going to put the link below where you can learn more about this event, anyone who signs up for it, and there's a wide range sliding scale for contributions for tickets, and those contributions, it is a benefit as well. So you can read the details of that. And anybody who contributes to that will be emailed a Murderbot short story that is otherwise unavailable right now. So if you decide that Murderbot is something that you're interested in, even if you can't make the event on Tuesday, you might want to, put a little bit of money towards it to get the short story, which I already have. It's sitting in my inbox, and I'm so excited to read it. I believe that the short story falls between the fourth novella and the novel, though I'm not 100%, don't quote me on that. But I wanted to make this video with enough time that if this really interested anybody, as much as it very much interests me, that you would have the chance to join me at the Murderbot Q&A with Martha Wells. So that's the short fiction, short speculative fiction specifically, that I've been reading for the last 2 months. Escape Routes by Naomi Ishiguro, short story collection. I mentioned Emergency Skin by N.K. Jemisin, one of my favorite authors. Report from Planet Midnight by Nalo Hopkinson, a very short collection of a couple of short stories, an interview, and a speech. Sisters of the Vast Black, a novella by Lina Rather, and the now very much beloved to me Murderbot series by Martha Wells, and I'll list them all, of course, in the description box below. Do you love novellas? Do you love short stories? Do you love speculative fiction? Let me know in the comments. If you've read any of these stories or any of these authors before and you have thoughts, do let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. Most likely I'll be talking to you next about some novels. Be well. Talk to you later.